and welcome to the WMAR Vault. I'm Jamie Costello. Here at WMAR, we've been celebrating 75 years on the air. We were the first TV station in Maryland, and now we're setting our sights on the future in streaming. And to that end, we're mixing up the old and the new, and we've opened up the WMAR Vault. We've dusted off 16 million feet of archive footage. That's enough footage to get from Baltimore to Los Angeles and still have nearly 400 miles left over. We hope you enjoy this episode of the WMAR Vault.
In Arbutus, Maryland, this is where Halloween happens every year. This display is the result of an individual effort, but it's enjoyed by the entire community. The lady who puts this ghost and goblin display together is Naomi Ferguson, and she's been doing it for 15 years. The friendliest fiend you ever hope to meet.
I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite times of the year, and I started doing it for my children. And it just sort of kept growing. And then every year when I would say, well, I'm not going to do it anymore, the kids would say, aren't you going to, decorate your lawn for Halloween? I'd say, oh, I guess so. And I'd start a little bit at a time and just keep right on going.
You love the kids. You bring them in, yes. You feed them cookies and cakes.
Oh, definitely. I really do. I adore them. I'm having 20 tomorrow and 30 from one of the local kindergartens around here on Wednesday. And quite a few people are coming over Wednesday evening to see it, and a lot of my friends will be over. It seems like there are quite a few people here all the time just looking at it, driving by and stopping their cars, and I sort of feel like I'd let them down if I didn't do it.
How can such a nice, sweet, lovable person like you be so fiendish?
I don't know. I guess somewhere down deep inside I have these evil thoughts.
Evil thoughts that come out in this fun way. This is how the Ferguson home on Seven Oaks Road looks in the daylight. Can you imagine it at night? Everyone says you really should see it at night. Maybe you should, but not me. I'm Susan White Bowden on the scene in Arbutus.
If you were 138 years old, you'd look like this too. This building is believed to be one of the first railroad stations in the country, constructed in 1850. And for the first time since the railroad sold it to the city in the late 70s, someone ventured inside.
Just driving by the building, you can see it's unique. Its shape is different. There had to be some kind of story behind the building, architecturally, structurally. And it's fascinated me for years. I think it's one of the three most interesting derelict buildings in Baltimore.
These men have an idea for this building. They'd like to have a Civil War museum on the first floor and a community hall on the second. The reason for the Civil War Museum is that in 1861, Washington, D.C. needed to be protected by federal troops, and this station was the last northern stop. So troops would empty here and walk the Baltimore streets to Camden Station. But when Massachusetts soldiers were walking, Baltimore natives started throwing stones, which led to gunfire, which led to the roll of Federal Hill.
Federal troops said, listen, Baltimore City is our one and only link to the north. If we lose that, we lose the capital. So they built Federal Hill. They placed the cannons on there, stationed a garrison there, and aimed those cannons right at the city of Baltimore and basically said, listen, you behave or we're going to level the city. So needless to say, they behaved.
These men claim not too many Baltimoreans know about this history, but they will once the building is renovated.
There's nothing left like it in the country. It's small, but it's a jewel.
From the President Street Station, Jamie Costello, Channel 2 News.
In 1975, President Ford signed the Metric Conversion Act, and a lot of politicians said every American will be affected by it. Well, 5 years later, there's still some confusion about the metric system. For instance, what is a liter?
Liter is a form of measurement, liquid measurement.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me.
It's like a pound or something like that.
A liter is a metric measurement for what roughly is our quart.
Measurement, the exact measurement, I don't know. It would probably be a little over a quart, though.
A measurement. I don't know what it is for the metric system.
Okay. But if you're buying that liquid gold they call gasoline, it might be a good idea to brush up on your metric system, because some stations, as you can see, are now selling it by the liter. What do people think about this selling gas by the liter?
Well, they don't understand it until you give them one of those conversion charts, which I gave you earlier, and they seem to understand it fine after that, as long as they know exactly how much they purchased.
I see.
Because that's the only thing they see the money ring up, and they don't know how much they got. Once they understand exactly how much it is, and seems to be no problem with them at all.
By the way, a liter equals 1 quart 2 ounces, and there are 3.8 liters to a gallon. Smart? You bet. Stu Kerr on the metric scene.
I'm not exactly a stranger to the legacy of the Baltimore Colts. I was in the league when they dominated the scene in the late 50s, early 60s. I sort of grew up with Unitas and Marchetti, Artie Donovan, Ray Berry, who ended up as an assistant coach with the Browns, Lenny Moore, Bobby Boyd, some wonderful players. And I know what you went through 11 years ago, because that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland right now. And I am deeply, deeply sorry from the bottom of my heart. I express to you, with all that I can command, a commitment to make you proud of us, make you enjoy having us, and recognize the fact that we're a very important, integral part of your community, both on the field and off the field.
John Moog finished the job that Herb Belgrad started. The chairman of the Maryland Stadium Authority didn't think he had a shot at the Browns.
In the first part of my tenure, I put the Browns at the bottom of the list because I felt Art Modell was just so ingrained with his town, and indeed he has been, that he wouldn't be able to pull the trigger. The house that you play in is where the money is. And Art Modell finally got to the realization, I think, a very hard one on his part, that the money was not going to be there for him.
As for personal seat licenses, John Moog says they'll pay the tab for the Browns' move here.
In terms of the permanent seat license, he and I agreed in about 5 minutes what they were about. They're about paying the NFL. They're paying the breach of his cost of leaving the stadium he's in, the training facility that he's got out there in Berea, the physical cost of moving here, building a new training facility here in Maryland as well. That is not inexpensive. That is probably on the order of $75 million, and believe it or not, their costs, I have seen them for breaching leases and doing what they have to do to extricate themselves from Cleveland, are going to exceed that. Not one penny of the permanent seat license program will go into Art Modell's pocket.
Baltimore's recent NFL history hasn't been a pleasant one. John Moog suggests maybe it's time to bury the hatchet.
The NFL was straight with me, and I know a lot of people in this town have a lot of negatives about the NFL. I can tell you I went through this process. They didn't lie to me once. They didn't set me off in the wrong direction. They give me heartburn from time to time, yeah. Are they bad guys? They're not so bad.
Hold on to Unitas, but start storing memories of this guy, Jim Brown.
Elated. Long time coming, 11 years.
Baltimoreans were huddled around the TV today as the 11-year drill ended with a successful drive.
I think the most important thing is we don't have to watch the Redskins anymore.
Those who remember 2 o'clock starts, the greatest game, the Super Bowl win, the Jones to Carr connection also show respect today to those in Cleveland.
I feel for Cleveland, I really do. But it's a business, unfortunately.
Some critics say the state and city could spend $200 million on a wiser investment.
Football is going to be revenue producing for the city and the state long term. So you're going to put the upfront investment, but you're going to get the revenue back in the long term.
The emotions here today were sorry it had to come to this, but the NFL forced the issue.
I feel sorry for the fans in Cleveland. I remember waking up and seeing those Mayflower vans pulling out of town, and that was really sad.
Today, there were 3 outbursts. 1, when Governor Glendening held up the signed contract. 2, when Governor Schaefer's name was mentioned. And 3, for Browns owner Art Modell. People want to pin the heroes tag on John Moog and Modell. And of course, ill feelings continue toward the commissioner.
It's a domino effect, and I feel that, this is going to continue unless they treat the cities that have lost teams.
I feel sorry for Cleveland now. But they'll get another team. I hope the NFL does the smart thing this time.
Maybe an 11-year wrong was righted at 12:30 Monday, November the 6th. Jamie Costello, News Channel 2.
It was said that Paul Brown answered to himself and to God.
That reputation for work and for winning as Cleveland's first coach reaped rewards. It won championships and was sown in the springtime of Brown's classic career, right here at Severn School in Severna Park.
The first thing in our playbook that's on the first page is it says Severn football, a tradition of pride. And I'm sure that Paul Brown established that way back then.
John Beckman continues a tradition begun in 1930, a handsome Paul Brown's first job in football. He earned 1,200 Depression-era dollars and a title for Severn. Players respect that.
First of all, I didn't really know about it until I came here. I kind of felt the tradition kind of rubbing off.
I mean, somebody as well-known as Paul Brown gives us a lot of pride to play here at Severn.
Severn and Paul Brown established a tradition of winning and athletic excellence and participation, and we've taken great pride to build on that through the years.
The local Browns connection comes full circle with today's coach. Just down the street from Severn School, Annapolis High School. That's where Bill Belichick attended.
If he brings up football, we'll discuss it.
But former Navy football coach Frank Belichick of Annapolis, Bill's father, enjoys his son's success from a respectful distance, and he understands why Art Modell moved his team.
I played football in Cleveland Stadium in 38, 39, and 40. I walked into the dressing room at Cleveland Stadium in 91, Bill's first year, and it was exactly the same.
Cleveland's loss is Baltimore's gain, and Baltimore has shed the pain and welcomed the Browns with open arms.
1, 2, 3, Browns!
In Severna Park, John Rawson, News Channel 2, Nightside. On South Robinson Street in Highlandtown, it's Baltimore at its colorful best. Marble steps, stained glass transoms, Thanksgiving in the windows. And tonight it's something else, too, a little sympathy for the people of Cleveland.
Cleveland didn't do nothing for the man. Cleveland has to pay.
You still feel a little sorry for him?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
That Cleveland has to bear this indignity tonight seems only fitting, for in many ways, Cleveland is a lot like Baltimore. The Inner Harbor and glistening baseball stadium? Not here. This is Cleveland. The National Aquarium? Nope. This is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But it's more than resemblance between the downtowns. It's the circumstances of the Colts and Browns' departures.
The Liner and the Orioles are the world champions.
In 1983, the Orioles were the best team in baseball. Then the Colts left town. In 1995, the Indians were baseball's best. Now the Browns are leaving.
Welcome to our museum.
Back on Robinson Street, it's pure Baltimore. On one wall of the Lubin's row house, an extensive doll collection. On the other, a tribute to John Wayne. And in between sit two of many Baltimoreans who say what happened to Cleveland brings back some pretty bad memories for Baltimore. Fact of the matter is, a lot of folks in this old town have a lot of sympathy for folks in that old town. We remember the heartache of 11 years ago, a heartache that a lot of folks in Cleveland are apparently about to experience also. Mark Vernarelli, News Channel 2, Nightside.
Rubik's Cube was invented to humiliate and frustrate adults. Only kids can do it. It also was invented to produce mountains of money, which it is doing. And if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, as the saying goes, it is a mammoth success. You can now not only buy the original version for $7, but also a copy for $2, or a variation called the Pyramid for $1.97, or something completely different called the Missing Link for $1.95. You also can buy various books that promise to tell you how to work the puzzle, and T-shirts can't be far behind. Many stores are completely sold out of all varieties. How does a store manager see the sales?
It's terrific. This is the item this year for Christmas. It's the toy item.
How many do you sell?
Hundreds of dozens.
Now, you may have seen the puzzle worked successfully, but I hadn't. So I took it to a registered kid, 15 years old, and after he broke the hermetic seal, I mixed it up and he went to work. Now, please don't bother telling me you know a faster kid or a younger kid or one who does 3 at once. I know that. What I want to know is why any kid is doing this, when you consider that it doesn't make any noise, doesn't get you high, doesn't break any laws, and is even intellectually challenging.
Maybe because it's an intellectual challenge.
Now, there's some good news for Christmas. I'm Andrew Barth, Channel 2 News Scene, Baltimore.
Oh, Dad, you see how close I was?
The problem is, it looks like such harmless fun, as competitors simply toss darts toward a plastic circle a few feet away.
Is it a fun game?
Yeah, it's fun.
What do you like about it?
How they stick. Try to get them in a circle. That's the fun part about it.
I'm like most people, I guess. Lawn darts have been a part of gatherings I've attended for years, and I've certainly never considered them a threat or a menace until a picnic I attended at a friend's house last summer.
I noticed that when a couple of boys at the picnic became bored with lawn darts, they stopped tossing and began throwing them.
There are, again, about 700 injuries each year, more than half of those to kids under 15, with the pointed end lawn dart. And again, these injuries are quite significant.
Chairman Terrence Scanlon says that high injury record has concerned the Consumer Product Safety Commission for years. In recent years, it has required warning labels on lawn dart packaging and ordered stores to sell the product in the sporting goods section instead of toy departments.
There was a young girl in California killed just last year where the lawn dart misdirected, thrown by her brother, penetrated the brain, and she was killed instantly.
That tragic death led CPSC commissioners to their May vote to ban the sale of all metal-tipped lawn darts. When the ban takes effect later this year, the federal government won't knock on your door and seize any metal-tipped lawn darts you own, but it will stop new sales of the product.
There are what they call the tulip lawn darts, which are the same type where you throw it into a ring, but they don't penetrate, and they don't penetrate skull and bones. And this is what I hope the companies that are now making these, once the ban takes effect by the end of the calendar year, that they'll retool and sell these.
People are calling on the Maryland Public Service Commission to take a second look at C&P Telephone's new caller ID service.
Caller ID gives me the same comfort level I have when someone rings my doorbell, and I can actually see who's at my door before I decide to open the door. As an individual, I have the right to know who is invading my privacy.
Caller ID achieves increased privacy for subscribers by reducing the privacy of others.
More than 100 telephone customers turned out to testify tonight. Commissioners are trying to determine if caller ID in Maryland should be restricted or outlawed altogether. The service automatically puts the phone number of the person calling you on a screen attached to your telephone. Advocates for battered women worry that spouse abusers will use caller ID to terrorize their victims. This former batterer admits he's been tempted.
Because if I had it and my wife called me and I couldn't identify the phone number, I would find out where it was at and go get her.
What would you do if you found your wife through this system?
I don't know, and I'd rather not find out.
The experience in New Jersey, where it's been offered for 2 years, has been the most positive thing going. They have no complaints. They have no stories of breakdowns. They have no stories of batterers finding battered spouses and doing harm to them.
But Pennsylvania courts have disconnected caller ID, ruling it violates state laws against wiretapping. Maryland has no such measure, so the service is available statewide. And right now, public opinion on caller ID appears to be equally divided. Commissioners won't say which way they're leaning, only that they'll make a decision by December 1st. Kim Skeen, Channel 2 News, Nightside.
Oh, I jumped the fence. What's the big deal?
Well, when you pull into a gas station for a filler, you expect to get a free glass, not a free look at a llama.
He thought he was hallucinating. He said it really was something he didn't know what to do with.
After startling school children waiting for a bus, the llama made a mad dash down Reisterstown Road.
He was right along with the speed limit, 30 miles per hour down Reisterstown Road, and I didn't know what to do after. I just followed it.
You're completely surrounded, said the officers.
He charged a couple times, and once we grabbed hold of the rope, we had to hurry up and tie it down because he was too big for both of us to hold it.
Then the rope was handed over to passerby Job Jackson. Is this the first time you ever caught a llama?
Yes, this is the first time.
So Job held the rope, which held the llama, for at least a half an hour.
I just walked up and grabbed a hold of the rope. Nobody seemed to want to hold on to him, so.
Yeah, no fooling.
Yeah, this is very rare.
Yeah. Animal control to 543.
Yeah, go ahead.
543.
Jim, the owner is on his way.
Time for it. Thank you, Chris.
I cannot believe this.
What's up?
Well, that's Nathan. I ran out into the field barefooted looking for him, and he was gone. He lives with donkeys and dogs and cats in a little farm back in, yes. I brought you something.
Next trick, how to get the llama home. Meanwhile, the word got out. Kids came by for a pet. More cameras showed up. Some, like ours, took a llama bath.
There's a llama loose on Reisterstown Road, and we've got it. We've got it. Right now, the llama is staring at me right through the phone booth.
But after one more spit, moved the cheesecake from the back of the Blazer, shoved the llama up and in, and thus ends our daily llama story. So what do you do with a llama anyway?
Llama beans. No, he's...
Jamie Costello, News Channel 2.
It's amazing. I just got the llama spit stain out of my tie. That was a long time ago on Reisterstown Road. And you know what? 75 years has been a long time. The WMAR has been bringing you the news into your home. We started out with film, went to video, tiny digital cards, over-the-air, cable, satellite. Now here we are, streaming. We'll keep moving forward, and remember to look back at the stories and the moments that made us all Maryland. And we hope you've enjoyed this episode of the WMAR Vault. We'll see you next time.
WMAR TV, Maryland's first television station.
Hey, it's Jamie Costello. If you just enjoyed this episode of The Vault, you can check out more episodes by clicking on this box down here. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that circle, and that'll subscribe you to WMAR 2 News for great content every single day.